a dazzling arena where sparks fly and metal clashes, an exhilarating competition unfolds, where innovation meets adrenaline as ingeniously engineered robots face off in intense duels of destruction. That's right, we are talking about BattleBots today. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. For those of you familiar with the BattleBots world, today we have John Remar joining us, executive producer and referee. Hello, John.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Amazing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it with some questions. So, to kick off, in your experience, I'm sure you have seen and worked with a ton of BattleBots. So, firstly, what do you think are some main factors of a top tier robot builder?
Oh, that's a great question. Surprisingly, I don't get asked that question a lot. And being the referee, I do observe. I'm also not going to volunteer information. I don't think it's right. But when somebody asks me, I'll be happy to say. Uh, Number one, I think really a well thought out robot, something that is designed to withstand not only its the force of its opponent, but the force caused upon impact from its own power. So, for example, a tombstone
Mhm.
has incredible force, but the inertia from when that weapon hits can cause tombstone or any other robot for that matter. I don't want to pick on tombstone, great robot, to 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 fly across the arena. So um, it needs to withstand its own impact from its own energy. And so make sure you're thinking through. Also, judges aren't supposed to judge destruction off of or damage off of some of the more simpler cosmetic pieces of the bot.
Right.
However, the design pieces. However, I think that perception sometimes is reality. And when you design a robot that has a skin that easily can fly off or parts that can easily fly off because you want it to look cool, can hinder the judge's decision. And then driving. It's really hard to practice driving because you need a safe environment. A safe environment is
Right.
something like the battle box arena or a test box. And so the more time you spend driving and understanding the nuances of how your robot works, how to control it, and you know what's really challenging is that floor inside the battle box can be unlike an area that you test. And so what I hear a lot of times is drivers come into that arena and they go, "Wow, yeah, that surface is much different than I'm used to when I'm
Right.
sliding around, or it's doing different things that I'm used to." So getting into the battle box and fighting as much as you can is obviously key. So whether it's coming to being invited or coming to a face off where you have a chance to prove yourself, then that's what you need to do.
Awesome. Definitely a lot to think about when it comes into that design. So that's very good insight on that. Thinking about our crowd in the audience, BattleBots and the art of robotics in general seems to span across the generational divide. What do you think draws so many people, young and old, to the sport and hobby?
I think it's that instinct that's in us that dates back to probably the beginning of time, and not that this was the beginning of time, but back in the gladiator days, it was a spectacle to see a gladiator fight. And I think this is a modern day version of that. But the beauty of this is obviously nobody gets hurt. So I think we're attracted to the violence. I think we're attracted to the sparks, the flames, the uh, unknown of it all. Just like somebody goes and sees a race car event, Formula One or NASCAR. Nobody wants to see, I hope nobody wants to see people get hurt, but you do tend to, there's something inside the brain that I think brings out the primal instinct of the sensational moment. And so I really think that there's part that there's also the ingenuity side of it. Like what can people create, and what will be the outcome of that creation when you take two engineered, completely different types of machines, robots, and you pit them against each other. What's going to happen? And the unexpected is always something that is exciting to see. And as a referee, a lot of times fights that I think are going to go a certain way end up going a completely different way just because of a particular moment that takes a different direction that was completely unexpected and fantastic. I also see too what we don't show on TV a lot of
Mm.
times is what I think the audience really enjoys, and there are fires that can occur from a fight. Batteries catch on fire, components catch on fire, and we have a team that goes in there, and you can tell everybody is glued to what's happening to put out that fire. What's going to happen next? Um, they start to spray it with a fire extinguisher, and the flame goes down. But the way batteries are designed, oxygen is reintroduced once that extinguished material is depleted and it comes back. And so it's fascinating to see that. And I think that just all dates back to our primal instinct.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. We love seeing sparks and fires. And like you said, just that seeing that upset where you think something's going to happen and then team comes in with a surprise move. So definitely has that wow factor. All right. So putting on your ref hat again. So um, you're not just looking out for the knockouts. You're also watching, as you said, the teams yourself. A lot of us focus on the hard skills of putting together, working with different tools and materials and the coding. And so we focus on those hard skills. What soft skills make a good BattleBots competitor?
Soft skills like learning to work together, understanding different roles and responsibilities. Some teams have really developed very specific positions within their team, like somebody's responsible for welding and grinding. Another person is responsible for design. You've got somebody that may be responsible for electronics, and they all have a specialty, but they're able to, you know, put down their differences and come together as a team and work together. I think that's really the ultimate when you see that happen. And teams that do that tend to go the distance or have a good chance at it.
Amazing. Yes, definitely that communication portion and working together. There's so many moving parts and pieces, and you need to be able to communicate back and forth. Amazing. So now thinking about the young teams that are new and just coming into the scene, seems like mentorship plays a large role in the success of these young teams. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen that manifest?
Yeah, so it's a really unique group of individuals that compete against each other. And sometimes I would say even to a fault, how much they help each other is quite impressive. And when I say to a fault, the ultimate goal is to win. And in
Right.
some cases, to win, you got to win at all costs, right? But they will borrow parts. Teams will come together and help other teams. And so it's really a community of people that just love the sport, love to see other people thrive and succeed. And as the producers of the show say, we're never going to tell you what to do or what to say. But I know in the background they're like, more drama, get mad at each other. And these guys are like, you need a part?
I love to hear that. I come from a competitive background. See, I competed in Vex and First, and that was the big thing that I loved it. Like you said, we're supposed to be competing and winning, and see another team break apart, and you're running over. Hey, what do you need? You need our programmer? Here you go. So that's amazing to see that that carries on within the teams. All right. Next up, we have being on BattleBots or even on some local robot fighting circuits. Competitors are often required to do much more than just build and drive a robot. What are some common characteristics you've seen in successful teams and in captains?
Beyond driving,
Hmm.
that's a great question. What I haven't thought a lot about. Let's see. So, uh, I would say it starts with the design of the robot. You really have to have a good vision for what you want, and then be able to test that out and test it in different scenarios, and anticipate how it's going to react, how it's going to drive, how it will take damage, what the judges will see, and really the whole big picture of it. But beyond that, they have to go out and they have to raise money. They have to get sponsors. They have to find the materials. They have to find the facilities to help them. You can't just go into a garage and cut a piece of titanium. You have to use special equipment to do so. Uh, Batteries need to be well thought out. Electronics need to be well laid out. So there's a lot of thought that goes into not just building a BattleBot, not just driving a BattleBot, but just putting the whole package together. And then there's the whole design side of it. Some of the more successful teams, and by success, I mean not only do they have winning records, maybe they haven't won the championship, but they're very visual and rememberable. Uh,
Hmm.
they've put together a full package. They have somebody that has thought out and executed on designing their costumes and their themes and logos, and they really put the whole package together. And that also shows within the pit area that they work on the robot. So much is focused obviously on the fight in the arena, but they spend a lot of time, just designing their overall theme, which then translates well to social media, which makes their presence bigger and more fun to follow.
Amazing. Yeah, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes for to get what we see on the show. So now we're going to pivot to our younger audiences, thinking about the kids that watch this. Do you think robotics in general is a good vehicle for kids to explore engineering concepts in a fun framework outside of the run-of-mill math and science classes that they take in school?
Yeah, I think it's what it does is it unites the creativity with the ingenuity, and it puts it together in a package that's exciting. There are some great robot competitions that are task-based, and then there's BattleBots, which is combat. And um, the task-based ones are fantastic. Where I think BattleBots is different is it brings in that element of combat. So it just widens the pool to the people that would be interested in that, because it's not just about the X's and O's and science and engineering and math. It's so much more than that, because it's exciting. There's combat, there's sparks, there's flames, there's explosions. So really it has something for almost everyone. And there's the business side of it, as we discussed earlier, in terms of you've got to raise money, you've got to think about the materials that you have, making sure that uh, you can get accomplished what you want to with your vision. And so I just think it brings it all together. So the more we can get kids involved, the better. And there's a pretty massive hole in those skills, both hard and soft, that is affecting not only the United States but the world. There's just not enough skilled labor in so many areas. And so getting kids into robotics earlier really helps them with understanding what their potential is, that then branches out into what they can do, whether it's in high school or beyond high school, whether they're going on to a degree that gives them specialized skills like an engineer, or they're going into the workforce right away and they understand, I'm really good at welding and I can make a great life, being a welder or plumber or working in a warehouse. So yeah, I love the aspect of robotics for kids for sure.
Fantastic. Love to hear that. Yeah, I even for myself, I did get involved into robotics to my high school year and I found out that there was things that you could have did in elementary and middle. I was like, man, this is really cool. But Because of robotics, it led me to find that I had a passion in programming, and program was the furthest thing on my mind. And I got involved in robotics, and I was like, this is a really cool thing. I never would have thought about it. So, absolutely. Well, staying on the topic of younger years, talking about you, do you have any influences from your younger years that led you to even get involved in the BattleBots and robotics world?
Well, for those that know me, it's no surprise. I've known the creator, Trey Roski, and his cousin. I knew Trey earlier, obviously, than his cousin, but we went to school together. We're both dyslexic, and at that time, our parents knew that public school wasn't an option. Public schools today are much different, so they found specialized schools for us. But even before that, uh, and obviously that was my into BattleBots was that relationship. But even before that, as a young kid, and my dad had the hardest time with this is if he had something that could be taken apart in that house, I'd take it apart and I'd put it back together. Unfortunately for him, in the early years, I wasn't great at putting things back together. I was able to put things back together and have a lot of extra parts left over, which wasn't helpful. So I took apart his watches and his radios and anything I could take apart. And that was some of my early tinkering. Uh, when I got into college, Trey, the founder of BattleBots, and I, we were roommates, and we weren't the best students, we weren't the worst students either, but we were always creating something, whether it's a little movie or playing with a motor or whatever the case may be. And one of the things we did was we took a bunch of old plastic poker chips and we put them over the floor and all over the kitchen floor, hard surface, and made little structures and took a remote controlled race car and we called it Damnation Alley after the old movie. And we would smash it into things and drive around things. And somewhere in my archives, I have that video. I'll have to dig it up. But
Amazing.
yeah, that was
Yes.
kind of like the most earliest memory I have of us doing something like that. And then later on, Trey and his cousin Greg created BattleBots, and they invited me to join them, and it's just been a fun ride ever since.
Amazing. Well, thinking about that, so for our young tinkerers and those that are taking apart things in their house, what types of opportunities would you like to see created for kids that are like that, that are curious and just want to explore robotics and engineering?
Yeah, I would say that the the types of programs that ID Tech does is certainly a great place to start. It's a bite size, a few weeks at a time. They have classes for different size people. So that's a great model to follow. But anything whether it's Lego and you're building something and you're activating pieces of your mind, maybe you're following the instructions along the way and you're seeing how the parts work together and move. But anything that you can do that just opens your mind up to the different possibilities of creating, of designing, of thinking, and then also working together. That's something that we have to do every day in our jobs. It's stuff that kids have to do at school. They have to work together in projects. They just have to show up together and survive the day in some cases. So any opportunity like that is a great one. And the more we can get kids involved in stuff like that, the better.
Absolutely. So to round off that piece, what piece of advice would you give to parents of kids that want to pursue a career in engineering or robotics?
Get them involved. The sooner the better. I mean, typically a kid that's interested in engineering, in my experience, already has that mindset. So why not tap into it and just give it its potential? Give that mind its opportunity. And I think what we'll find is that just the kids will naturally continue to progress, but you've got to expose them. You got to give them the opportunity. And whether like I said earlier, whether it's a Lego or it's a model or a kit or it's a class, the better I think it is for that style of kid and putting them around other kids. And there's clubs and there's all different types of programs available that will help that.
Great. Awesome. Thank you for that. So we have one final question for you. The One of the biggest hot topics that has everybody in a whirlwind of is it good, is it bad, is artificial intelligence, AI. So given the rise of AI, how do you think the next generation of robots will benefit from this fast advancing technology?
Yeah, so we're already seeing it. I mean, we have Orbitron that just competed this summer in what will soon be available on YouTube in our face-off videos. That is a complete AI built or operated machine. And so I think that people are going to see that. They're going to understand better the technologies about AI that are around them. And I'm really excited for that piece because I think it will take BattleBots to the next level. And with AI will come more advancements in the mechanics of robots. So, walking robots have been around for a while, but it's the AI that's going to really drive them to that next level to make them understand, the different terrains around them, the different paths that they have to journey down, as well as the interactions, whether it's uh, looking at a traffic signal or communicating with a human being and giving real human-like answers back. So I'm really excited about the AI side of things. I think it's going to really change the sport for the better.
Amazing. Yes, definitely looking forward to the future of BattleBots and just in technology in general as we're learning more and more and exploring and coming up with new ways to interact with our world. Well, that is all for me. I just want to thank you again, John, for taking this time and sitting with me for this interview.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, and thanks for what you and everyone on the ID Tech team does. We've enjoyed the partnership. It's a great program. I've been to the classes myself. I've been to two now over the course of the 2 years we've worked with you guys. The kids clearly, absolutely love the program. I've seen impact studies that have been put together on how it's changed the lives of these kids or just made them much more enriched. And you've got kids taking these classes, one, two times, maybe even more. And so keep doing what you guys do, and we appreciate the partnership.
Amazing. Thank you so much and look forward to see where our partnership goes next.
Same here. Thanks for having me. Take
Thank
care.
you. Take care.